Come here, baby.
Oh, you're a good girl.
Come here.
Oh, hi again. Another video. More stuff about school. Things keep coming up about my school. I suppose I talk about with school kids at times. One that comes to mind. This goes back to my father saying you always got to tell the truth. And be honest. Anyway, I have this thing I say, why do these things happen to me? I just seem to have too many of them. You right there, Bill? You sit there. Yeah, why do these things happen to me? This one I think, wow, how did that even happen? Especially now I'm a teacher and I see, what happened this time. We were sitting in a woodwork room in high school, and woodwork, metalwork room. And for some reason, a little dog walked into the classroom. I can't ever remember seeing a little dog walk into a classroom. But anyway, little dog walked in the classroom, wooden floor, and it did a poo on the floor. And dog had diarrhea. It was a runny mess on the floor. And it stung pretty bad, but after a little while the smell went away. And I remember the teacher saying to us, next person that talks gets to pick up the poo. Anyway, sitting next to a guy called Alan. Alan was in trouble all the time at school. And Alan said something to me, and I went to him. That's all I did, went. Anyway, the teacher then turns around. He probably sees my lips move, and probably couldn't tell the difference between myself, Alan, and Alan talking. And of course, he said to me, "Mr. Precious, was that you talking?" What do I say? Yes. I'm not going to say no because I was talking. What's all these kids say? Oh, I said nothing, or I was just answering my mate. And I just go, no, I was talking. End of issue. So he said, go clean it up. So he didn't tell me how to clean it up. I didn't say, I'm not going to do that. I just went and cleaned it up. So I was thinking to myself, how am I going to clean this up? So I went and found a dustpan and brush, all the things you use. And I swept it up with a dustpan and brush, and oh my goodness. The moment that I started, the waft, the smell went into my nose, and I had to, you had to be tough in front of your mates. So I wanted to heave, but I just somehow I held it down, and I just was struggling with it. I went outside and I started to hose this all off wash it off under a tap, and then I was sick from just the sheer smell I heaved on it. But that was disgusting. And I look back at the circumstance in life that this just happened to me. Too many of them, I think. But anyway, that's my lot in life. So this started with a guy called Alan. Oh my goodness. So I remember sitting in the French class, and Alan was sitting beside me. And we had this old wooden desk that had the inkwell hole. That's how old the desks were. That you could put the inkwell in there, and then you could use your pen nib and be able to use the ink the right way. I didn't know how to do it. But anyway, the desk was so old they had the inkwell hole. And then underneath they had a shelf. And a lot of people used to shovel their papers under there instead of putting them in the bin. Seriously, it doesn't take much to put papers in the bin, but people do it all the time. And the teacher was writing on the board, and Alan said, "Can I light your desk?" I went, "No." So he grabs out his cigarette lighter, he flicks a cigarette lighter, he lights my desk. I'm sitting there like, this is a shock to me. I'm not used to people like this in my life, even though I knew him knew him at school. I would have called him a friend, and he lit my desk on fire. So I'm sitting there, I think, in horror, and the flames started coming out the inkwell, and I remember he grabbed my French textbook. I can still picture it, and it was a school one. It's not mine. It was signed out to me for the year, and I'm responsible for it. He put it over the inkwell and to stop the flames from coming out, which I don't know, making much difference. The desk is on fire. Anyway, the French teacher turns around. Oh my goodness. This is where I'm really thankful that at least my honesty at times really helped. And she looked at me. I must have been sitting there, I reckon again, I've said before, bog-eyed, the blood draining from my face. I'm sitting there in horror with my desk on fire. And she looks at Alan's face, or I'm not say surname, Alan's face, and she saw I could imagine him sitting there with a hee look on his face. And she said to this boy, "Off to the principal." Off he went, and anyway, I don't remember, I think the desk just burned itself out. But that's one of the things he did. Remember another time sitting in, I think it was geography, I'm sure it was geography. Pretty sure it was year 10. And could have been year 9 maybe. But anyway, year 9 or 10, geography teacher. Really nice teacher. Rough school. Kids just misbehave for all the time. But you just watch these boys just being naughty for all the time. Now, my mate Alan probably had the reputation, I would have thought he had the reputation for the naughtiest kid in the school. He constantly would get 12 cuts of the cane. The most allowed to give you was 6 on each hand. So they get 6 on this hand and 6 on that hand. He'd come back and bragging about, how many times he'd had 12 cuts of the cane. And so we're sitting in her class, and she's writing on the left hand half of the board. It was a blackboard those days. So she was filling up with notes and talking to us. Now while she's doing that, he's chewing up bits of paper and he puts it in the pen, and you make a pea shooter. If you don't know about it, probably best. Some people don't know how to do it. So he would shoot little bits of paper, wet paper, onto the board on the right hand side while she was writing on the left. So she very patiently, when she went to write on the right hand side, she just rubbed it all off, and then she'd write on the right hand side, and while she's writing on the right hand side, he'd do it to the left hand side. Now in between, I realised that he was also shooting them on the roof and on the ceiling. And so anyway, she did that. See, the third lot rubbed it off and started writing again. I remember she sat down, and when she sat down, she looked up at the ceiling and she saw it all over the ceiling. And it was like, that was just too much. And she cracked. My goodness, she cracked. I don't even remember her name. She was just a lovely lady. And she howled. She cried. She burst into tears and she howled of just distress. She just couldn't take it anymore and bawled her eyes out in front of us as a class. Now, at this stage of my life, again, I wasn't a Christian. I didn't believe in those sorts of values or anything. I actually thought it was all a load of rubbish, but anyway, that's where I was at in my life. And I remember turning around to Alan. Alan was about the same size as me. And, I can't fight to save myself. I could rumble though, I've said that before. I remember turning around to Alan. I don't think I swore, because most of the time in my life I didn't. Did later on, but, just one of those things. In my family we didn't swear. And I remember saying to him, I eyeballed him. And I don't know if I grabbed him, I don't think so. But I eyeballed him and I said, if you ever do anything to her like that again, I said something, I don't know. I think I said, I'm going to shove your head where it don't shine. Your bell trying to catch a fly. I'm going to shove your head where it don't shine. And I said, you never do it to her again. So anyway, Alan took me at my word. I remember coming to school the next time that we had her, and he picked up his pea shooter, and I just looked at him. I sat down beside him on purpose, and I just looked at him, and he didn't do it. And if he went to do anything, went to be rude, went to be naughty, again, I just saw him as a bully. He was a bully. I talk about kids bullying teachers. What right do kids have to bully teachers? I just see too many people get away with it. So anyway, he was an angel for her. He never misbehaved. I think I constantly sat beside him and monitored his behaviour, and he never misbehaved for her again. I often wonder this today, these days, if, could imagine her in the staff room and saying something's happened to Alan. And they say, what do you mean? You say, well, he was horrible, used to pea shoot everywhere, used to butt in, used to be rude, and all of a sudden he's a model student, just not doing anything wrong. Oh, I'd love to have found out, And I could imagine the other teachers saying, what's your secret? What did you do? How come he's behaving so well for you? He's horrible for me. He never stops causing problems. And it would have been wonderful to have found out what happened. And I can imagine her saying to him, I cried. You did what? I cried. I couldn't take it anymore. I just burst into tears. And he hasn't misbehaved since then. I don't know why. Maybe he's got a soft spot for me because I cried.